International criminal tribunals take 4 to 8 years to undertake investigations of core international crimes, sometimes longer. Just over 2 years have passed since the serious internal armed conflict against the ARSA, and the second court-martial is now underway. The Gambia has not challenged the quality of the military justice in the Indian case, only the pardon, which many of us regret. The ongoing Gutabian court-martial in Budiram Township should be allowed to run its course. I'm confident that there will be further courts-martial after the submission of the final report of the Independent Commission of Inquiry in a few weeks. Mr. President, it is vital for Myanmar's present and future that our civilian and military criminal justice systems functions in accordance with the Constitution. Where a country has a military justice system, neutralizing this system by externalizing justice, in effect, surgically removes a critical limb from the body, the limb that helps armed forces to self-correct, to improve, to better perform their functions within the constitutional order. Mr. President, members of the court, in my opening statement yesterday, I mentioned that international justice is a practice that affirms our common values and that we look to justice as a champion of reconciliation and harmony that will assure the security and rights of all peoples. Allow me, in this context, to mention one example of what we are doing on the ground in northern Rakhine to further reconciliation between communities. In January 2019, the In Transformation Initiative, ITI, directed by Mr. Rolf Mayer, a transitional justice leader in South Africa, launched the Rakhine Transformation Project that aims at preventing the recurrence of historical violence and paving the way for sustainable voluntary return of peoples displaced by violence. In the words of Mr. Mayer himself, I quote, 9 months after its inception, and despite increased fighting in the area between the AA and the military, the project has gained sufficient traction in Maungdaw for it to be regarded as sustainable. Mr. President, recalling the words about football in paragraph 18 of the opening statement of the agent of the Gambia, allow me to present these pictures from a football match. Organized by the ITI, a football tournament recently took place at the Newma Athletic Field in Maungdaw Town. Players and spectators are a mix from different communities in Maungdaw Township, the area at the center of the 2016 to 2017 internal armed conflict in Rakhine. Adults and children, proud, enthusiastic, laughing, and most important of all, together. This is what we are striving to nurture in Rakhine, what we are endeavoring to foster throughout Myanmar, our country of great diversity, great potential, and great challenges. Mr. President, members of the court, I pray the decision you make with the wisdom and vision of justice will help us to create unity out of diversity, to develop the potential of our people, and to meet the challenges of a nation in quest of sustainable peace and development. Steps that generate suspicion, sow doubts, or create resentment between communities who have just begun to build a fragile foundation of trust could undermine reconciliation. Ending the ongoing internal armed conflict between the Arakan Army and Myanmar's defense services is of the utmost importance for our country. But it is equally important to avoid any reignition of the 2016 to 2017 internal armed conflict in northern Rakhine. Mr. President, members of the court, I now conclude by formally presenting to you the final submission of Myanmar. These are as follows. In accordance with Article 60, paragraph 2 of the Rules of Court, for the reasons given during the hearing from 10th to 12th December 2019, and any other reasons the court might deem appropriate, Myanmar requests the court to remove the case from its list. In the alternative, to reject the request for the indication of provisional measures submitted by the Gambia. Mr. President and members of the court, that concludes Myanmar's observations. I thank you for your kind attention, and I also thank the staff of the registry for all assistance offered to our delegation.
I thank the agent of Myanmar. The court takes note of the submissions of Myanmar, which you have just read out on behalf of your government. This brings the present series of sittings to an end. I would like to thank the agents, counsel, and advocates of the two parties for their statements. In accordance with the usual practice, I shall request both agents to remain at the court's disposal to provide any additional information the court may require. The court will render its order on the request for the indication of provisional measures as soon as possible. The agents of the parties will be advised in due course as to the date on which the court will deliver its order at a public sitting. Since the court has no other business before it today, the sitting is declared closed.